I was driving to work this morning, I was listening to another radio station, as we broadcasters sometimes do. What I heard shocked and saddened me.
The Entertainment Roundtable.
They're here, nerds.
Wait, is this the group that goes around mutilating squirrels?
You just mind your P's and Q's, Buster, and remember who you're dealing with.
Well, at least we found them.
Fortuitous, Captain. And now that we have them all together,
you can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs.
The Entertainment Roundtable.
They make one person go, blah, 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 and the other person go, what are you talking about? And then one person goes, blah, 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 blah.
Hey, welcome into it. July 4th weekend here, and we are still the Entertainment Roundtable. But as opposed to last week where we had the entire cast, who appears just about anybody that's ever appeared on the show, we're down to a skeleton crew. Jeff's on vacation, so behind the board is Dustin. How are you, sir?
I'm doing outstanding, my friend. How are you?
Fantastic. Welcome into it. It's been a while since you've been a part of the show.
It has been. I'm looking forward to it, though.
Yeah, Jeff's on vacation. David working because we are recording this because of the July 4th holiday on a Thursday morning. So David had to work, so he couldn't make it in. Josh says that he is knee-deep, if not higher, into research for the next Erwin Brothers film. So it's myself and Jacob. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great.
And Ryan from Maryland. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm ready to roll out and talk some movies. Let's get to it.
Fantastic. We got some reviews coming up this week. During the TV part of it, Ryan, you and we have checked out, I assume you've seen both episodes now of the TNT show, The Last Ship?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we'll talk about those. I've got a movie review of the film that just came out on Wednesday. It's called America. It's the latest documentary, political style, by Dinesh D'Souza, who did 2016 Obama's America. That's the currently second highest grossing film release of a documentary politically of all time, only behind a Michael Moore piece of junk. Let's see, what else have we done here? I believe you have yet to do a review of Transformers, Ryan?
I am ready to roll out and talk about it.
All right, let's see. Anything else that we haven't gotten to? I don't think so. I think everything else is pretty much covered.
Nope, yep, I got nothing.
All right, let's get into it. It's amazing to me how we keep debuting films here, but yet Chef still hangs inside the top 10. Another 1.7 million, 19.4, sitting there at number 10. Number 9, X-Men Days of Future Past, hanging on by its fingernails. 3.3 million, 223.4, so a nice little run for them, and it continues. Fault in Our Stars, Jeff, good grief, 5.1 million, 109.9. Edge of Tomorrow, 5.4, 84.3. Jersey Boys, not too bad, 7.7 million, 27.4 for a film that probably is, I know it's getting critical acclaim, but I don't think anybody really figured that this film was going to be a major blockbuster as far as money making. But 27.4, I don't think anyone's going to complain, certainly not Clint.
No, probably not.
That brings us into the top 5. Maleficent hanging in there, 8.4 million, up over 202. Good night. Think Like a Man 2, 10.3, 48.1. How to Train Your Dragon 2, 13.2 million, so 122 million there. 22 Jump Street is a bigger box office moneymaker than what even I thought it was going to be. I figured it would make 100 million, but it's cruising at 140.3 and sitting at number 2, behind only number 1, Transformers: Age of Extinction. In its debut weekend, and keep in mind, the numbers that I'm going off of are the official just weekend numbers. We'll get into it a little bit more later on in the show when we do the latest recap of the Summer Movie League standings. But $100 million just over the weekend is impressive for a movie that, well, quite frankly, I thought was horrible. Jacob, your rating wasn't... Your rating actually, I think, was lower than mine. You gave it a 3. I think I gave it a 3.5, or same, right in that area. So that brings us to the man who had not seen it as of last weekend, and that would be Ryan. Your thoughts on the latest Transformers?
Yes, sir. I've been thinking about this all week long. I've had a couple of days to think more about it, and I saw the film. I like the action. Action is always electrifying. Robots trying to kill other robots is always fun to see, and then Dinobots make an appearance towards the end of the film, so that was a nice little surprise there. But there was some very cringe-worthy dialogue. The script was poorly written. The pacing was terrible. This is a 3-hour movie, man. I mean, it's 3 hours, and it's an hour too long. I mean, there's 45 minutes that easily could have been cut from this film. There were some subplots that were totally unnecessary. A Romeo and Juliet credit card? What are you, nuts?
Yeah, really.
I mean, Mark Wahlberg. I feel like everyone, as far as the human cast is concerned, phoned this in. This was a paycheck for these guys. And Michael Bay and his team, I don't know what you were thinking or what you were smoking, but it wasn't a jackpot like the last 3 films were, Jack. So here's what I give it. At the time, I give it a 5. A little bit more thinking, I'm going to give it a 4, just because of the action, just because of Peter Cullen reprising his role as the great voiceover actor of Optimus Prime.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, we need new writers, we need a new creative team, and by golly, we need a new director. Step away, Michael.
There you go. You nailed one of the things that I thought of, and my first inclination was, and it wasn't so bad as far as Optimus Prime was concerned, but it really had to do with the Autobot that John Goodman voiced.
I believe it was Hound was his name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Either way, the lines that they gave John Goodman, all I can picture is John Goodman in the studio voicing those lines and cringing every single time because they are just ridiculous. And then I got to thinking about it a little bit more and read an article somewhere online talking about I think it was like the 10 or 13 most cringe-worthy lines in the entire film, and I had forgotten about it until it was mentioned in that line. When they first show up on Mark Wahlberg's lawn, and they haven't, and Optimus Prime hasn't revealed himself yet, and the Fed guy looks at Mark Wahlberg's character after he has asked for a warrant, and he goes, "My face is my warrant." Really?
No, mine is still Mark Wahlberg saying, "Hey, honey, hand me my alien gun."
Yeah, that was a little cheesy.
That is a literal word-for-word line in this movie.
It is.
Hand me my alien gun.
It was cheesy, but it wasn't cringe-inducing. It was just so cheesy it was funny. I literally cringed when he said, "My face is my warrant."
I mean, the one thing that got me more than anything was the subplot romantic storyline between the daughter and the race car driver when he says, "We have a Romeo and Juliet contract."
Yikes.
I was like, what on earth are you smoking in Texas? Because there is no such thing I've ever heard of, at least in this land, that says, "Yeah, I can date your daughter if I want."
Wasn't there somebody who's, and it might have been Mark Wahlberg, I can't remember. Somebody at some point in time in the movie looked at him and said, "You realize Romeo and Juliet committed suicide, right?"
That was Mark Wahlberg.
It was Wahlberg?
You know what happens at the end of that story? They die.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, they committed suicide, dummies.
Here's my other thing is, what casting agent was like, Mark Wahlberg? Yeah, he could play a dude from Texas. Lived in Texas his whole life. Yeah, that's perfect casting.
Yeah. You couldn't have found somebody from Texas?
Yeah.
I mean, the kids are going to eat this movie up, definitely. But as far as intelligent, adult-like people like ourselves, we're facepalm. And someone wrote up a funny meme on Facebook today that says, "Transformers to this day has made $412 million for Age of Extinction." And it says, "Face desk, when facepalm isn't enough."
I like it. Here's the thing. I don't see a whole lot this weekend that's really going to be huge. I think Tammy will make some box office. Tammy is the comedy that stars Melissa McCarthy. Also features Susan Sarandon, Kathy Bates, and several other stars, by the way. It's about a down-on-her-luck woman who just lost her job. She's learned her husband's cheating on her, so she goes on the road with her loudmouth, brash grandmother. In other words, this is yet another in a series of Melissa McCarthy comedies that are going to be raunchy comedies, and you will get a whole lot of language if you go see this.
Yeah. It's projected to do about $30 million this weekend.
Wow, really?
Mm-hmm.
But then again, it is a holiday weekend, so $10 million a day?
Holiday weekend.
Okay. $10 million a day I can deal with. Deliver Us from Evil, it's, from what I'm understanding, quasi-based upon a true story. It stars Eric Banya and others, filmed about a New York City police officer investigating a series of crimes, ends up joining up with a priest to try to end a series of possessions that terrorize the city. I'm not really big on this particular style of film. I'm not a humongous horror fan, to be real honest with you. I don't know whether this is going to gain a whole lot of an audience.
Got a 33% rating right now.
Ew, that's not good. What's this? Have you seen a projection on this, Jacob?
No, I haven't.
Yeah. And then the one that, well, quite frankly, looks like an E.T. ripoff. Earth to Echo stars, well, nobody of real note that I can tell. It's about a bunch of kids who come across an extraterrestrial robot, and they have intentions on getting him back home. Sounds really familiar. I wonder if Steven Spielberg is ready with a lawsuit.
I hope he is.
Well, this is one of those, it looks like they're trying to cash in on the kids' movie thing, but
Well,
like,
and if you look,
it doesn't look that appealing to kids either. Like it just
I would
doesn't
agree.
look appealing.
I mean, if you look in the top 10 that we just gave you, there are 2 family, quote unquote, family films that are out there. Obvious, the animated How to Train Your Dragon 2. Maleficent's in there. I think some kids may be a little bit older because if you go too young, I think it could be a little bit too intense. So it's not like there's a glut of family films out at this point in time. So maybe I'm certain that it will find some sort of an audience. I'm just not sure how big it's going to be, and I really don't think it's got legs.
No, if it makes it into the top 10 next week, I will be surprised.
I think it'll make it top 10 next week. I just don't think it's going to stay there long.
Okay.
We'll put it that way. And then you got what you got out in limited release. So if you're interested, you can look around and try and find it, but you got to make sure that you can find it so that you can go see it. The film, probably the least accessible of all of them, is called The Girl on the Train, a documentary about Roger Ebert called Life Itself. I have not noted whether that's playing around here in the Birmingham area, but I think it might actually be kind of interesting and might redbox that once it does. And then a friend of mine and I decided to go check out the new Dinesh D'Souza documentary. Well, it's actually less a documentary and kind of more of a dramatic telling of what the U.S. might look like had it lost the Revolutionary War. It's not. It's kind of a combination drama and a little bit documentary where he goes around and interviews people. It's called America, and it's based upon the book that he's got out right now. And I found it actually quite fascinating because it does go back to the initial time, and it asserts the thought of what America could be possibly should, for example, George Washington have been killed in the Revolutionary War, and then starts to pick off arguments that we have heard from people throughout the course of history about why the United States should not be the country that we are today. And not only does he pick all of them up, he knocks all of them right down with some very interesting facts. It's History Channel quality. And History Channel's done some pretty good stuff here recently. So I'm not going to say it's big budget cinematic gold. It's not. You look at it, it's got some, cinematic faults, but it's done quite well. My biggest problem, I think, with it was the fact, and don't get me wrong, I understand exactly where he's going with this. He wanted to make sure you understood all of the arguments with full detail, but he does take a good amount of time setting up the arguments about why people think the United States shouldn't be the country that we are today before he then takes to knock them all down. So it's not a very long film overall. I would say about half of it takes the time to set them up, and then the second half takes to set them down. You will, if you're of a mind of people like myself, Dustin, I'm looking right at you.
Yeah.
The first half of this film, you're going to see some people, and you're going to want to find them and hunt them down. Because
goody. I love doing
my
that.
friend and I wanted to do the exact same thing when we left the movie theater. I'm giving it an 8.5. It is definitely worth watching, and when you consider some of the stuff that is not being taught in schools right now, so if you have a school-aged child, take them. This is stuff that needs to be heard. Definitely needs to be heard. So, yeah, I give it an 8.5. And in the Birmingham area, you can find it at 3 locations. The Lee Branch Shopping Center, Carmike. I think it's the Carmike Theaters. Yeah, Carmike Theaters at the Summit Shopping Center. And I don't know who has the theaters that are out in Trussville, but you can find it there as well. Otherwise, do a search for it. It's worth it.
Sounds like I need to go check this one out.
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is right up your alley.
It sounds like it.
If you want to go this weekend, call me. Let me know. I'll go again.
Okay.
I liked it that much. I really did. As far as next week is concerned, 2 major films, A Long Way Down and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes hits theaters finally. So I finally get my 4th film. Good grief. Oh, man. I was dreading it. I have to admit, Jacob, I have yet to look at the update for this week in the fantasy.
You're probably not going to be pleased then.
I'm sure I'm probably not, because I know who's got number 2. I mean, you want to talk about a man that jumped in with a splash. He's one of the guys that's not here. It's Jeff. I mean, this guy came in, and he came in with a mad rush.
You would be wrong about that.
No? I've been surpassed by someone else?
You've
We'll get to it later.
surpassed by 2 people.
I've been surpassed by 2. Excellent.
And you're wrong about the order of the first two. I'll put it that way.
Oh, okay. Well, I do know that Jeff came in with a splash, so I do know that. But either way, all right. So now that we've gotten to the point where we have set everything up, we got to get us some movie news, and that is what we're going to do right after we take this break. You are listening to the Entertainment Roundtable 4th of July edition right here on Superstation 101 WIDE.
We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming, the Entertainment Roundtable on Superstation 101.
Hey, welcome back to the Entertainment Roundtable here, Superstation 101 WIDE. As we always do here on the Entertainment Roundtable, usually pick a song from a soundtrack that is either in a film that's in the top 10 or coming out this weekend. This right here is Steve Winwood. Going back to his time with the group Blind Faith, did a song called Can't Find My Way Home. You will find this on the soundtrack to the movie Deliver Us from Evil. Nice little acoustic version here.
I'm ready to rock out.
It's actually, this one's kind of a very calm song. Even if you went full electric version, all the instruments and everything in it. Steve Winwood right there. He's still got that voice.
Yeah.
It's just amazing to me. But yeah, very stripped down version, really good version right here. So I like this. I may end up having to keep this in the rotation, play it during the Michael Hart show during the week. I like it that much.
That would fit well.
Yeah, it would. So anyway, yeah, it's off the soundtrack to Deliver Us from Evil, coming out in theaters this weekend. All right, here we go. First up, saw this when we watched the trailers in front of Transformers Age of Extinction, whatever. I really wasn't impressed when it comes to this, Ryan, but tell me about this film, your initial impression of Dracula, the new one.
Yes, sir. That would be Dracula Untold. It's starring Luke Evans from Fast and Furious 6, among other films such as The Raven and the Hobbit films, as well as co-starring Dominic Cooper. It's about the origin story, of the famous vampire himself, Dracula. It's going to hit theaters everywhere on October the 17th.
It's interesting that you say it talks about the origin story of Dracula because, Jacob, you and I got to look at each other and went, they're turning Dracula into kind of a hero.
Yeah, not only that, but I mean, it changes the origin story. It's set in a different location. It's a lot of different things that aren't the way that Bram Stoker. That's not how it went.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I saw it again last night because, strangely enough, that it was one of the trailers that was in front of the movie America, which you think usually they would try and tie in your previews with the subject material of the film that you're going to watch. But then again, there's not much out that really ties in with America because nobody's making movies like that anymore. So they put in Dracula, and I'm looking at it again. And it's funny because it was me and my next door neighbor. He got excited about it because he kind of likes the turning the whole tale on its ear side of things. So
I'm a little intrigued.
I think it looks good. Visually, it looks fantastic. I've got a problem with the way that they're playing with the whole legend there, but I don't know. I may end up going to see it at some point in time. It's not very high up on my list. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll see it to review it, but it's probably going to end up in the Pompeii bin with,
You might be right. That so far is, I know it's mine. Is it still your worst film of 2014 so far,
Jacob? Oh, hands down. That's probably one of my worst films of the last 5 years.
Wow. Yeah, it was.
That's just really bad.
Not good. All right, let's go how about telling us about the film Into the Storm? Ryan saw the preview to this, by the way. Who's in it? What's it about? And what do you think of the trailer?
Yes, sir. For Into the Storm, it's starring Richard Armitage. I got Sarah Wayne Callis for you Walking Dead fans. Going to hit theaters everywhere on August the 8th. Basically, set in a small town, big storm fronts coming through, and it's all about the civilians as well as the storm trackers to predict the storm and try to survive it. So basically, this is a 21st century version of Twister.
That's exactly what I said. This is Twister with more tornado action.
I'm down for it because I was a weather fan back in the day, so I'm up for seeing it.
My curiosity is whether they can actually do anything. Don't get me wrong. I don't really think that Twister was the best thing that I ever saw, but I thought they did a half-decent job with it. I'm just wondering if they're just going to be cheesier.
I just think Into the Storm needs more Greg Kinnear.
Or Cowbell, one of the two.
Yeah.
Is Greg Kinnear in this?
I don't think he is he?
No. Wasn't he in Twister?
No. You're thinking of Bill Paxton.
Bill Paxton.
Bill Paxton, sorry.
Yeah.
My fault.
It would be funny if he showed up and made a cameo appearance.
Or Helen Hunt, for that
needs
matter.
more Bill Paxton. That's it.
Yeah, there you go. Or Helen Hunt. Yeah, you're right about that. All right, Jacob, tell me about the possibility of this, because speaking of previews that I saw last night, saw Expendables 3, and it goes for one last ride, but now all of a sudden we got a guy saying, if there's going to be an Expendables 4, I might be interested in it.
Well, Pierce Brosnan, former 007 James Bond, was doing an interview with Coming Soon, and said that if they have a good script for Expendables 4, that he told the director that he would be interested in being in it. He quoted, he said that Sylvester Stallone is the one that's given us these wonderful platforms for actors who have had careers to go play and have fun and to entertain, to bring a bunch of guys together who saved the world, fought the bad guys, and put them all on the same stage. That's crazy good. So sounds like he is definitely in for Expendables 4 if it happens.
If they should so make one, and I'm excited about it only because of the fact that I know that it's not going to be a great film, but it's going to be grabbing a whole bunch of 80s action people and just a whole lot of explosions. I don't think it's going to be, amazing Oscar-worthy dialogue or anything, but it's just going to be popcorn fun that you'll forget about an hour after you've walked out of the movie theater. I wouldn't be all that upset if they came up with a fourth one.
No, and I think 3 will make enough money that will warrant a fourth. I mean, it's not going to make major blockbuster money, but I mean it's going to make money.
150 mil?
I'd say at least 100.
Okay, Ryan, any thoughts?
As far as this upcoming one, yeah, 100 million's a possibility of Pierce Brosnan. Okay. Should they decide to do a fourth installment of this wacko franchise? Sure, I'd say go ahead. But if you're going to bring Pierce in, bring all the Bonds out of retirement. Bring them all back. Lazenby. Bring in Daniel Craig. Bring in Sean Connery. He's got nothing better to do.
Sean Connery's pretty much retired. I from what I am told, he's been offered a couple of parts and he's turned them down, and they've been pretty juicy parts. I think it would be funny if he actually did come back and they were able to do it. I don't see it happening, but hey, bring him back. I think you can still go back and find some people that have not been in the films before and put them in. I mean, there are still 80s action people that are out there. You might still be able to make up with Bruce Willis. Who knows? I'm not counting on it, but hey, it could happen. All right, big machines enough to get a big sequel, and no, I'm not talking about another Transformers film, but judging by $100 million debut, I bet you we're going to get a fifth. I'm going to talk about Pacific Rim, and Ryan, turn to you because you've learned that a second one has been greenlit. When might it be seen in the theaters?
Yes, sir. Kaijus versus Jaegers once again. Pacific Rim 2 is going to debut in 3D as well as IMAX 3D. It's going to hit theaters everywhere on April the 7th, 2017. Guillermo del Toro is going to return to direct. His buddy Zach Penn is going to help write the script. This is going to be from Universal Studios and Legendary Pictures, and some of the characters from the first film are scheduled to return, so I cannot wait. More robots versus monsters mayhem. Bring it.
But we got to wait another 3 years.
Yeah, but we got time.
Oh, yeah. We'll have some. We've got films that will tide us over.
Marvel and DC Cinematic Universe, wake up.
There you go. Sorry, Jacob, go ahead.
That's fine. I just hope they recast Idris Elba.
Oh, gosh, they almost have to, don't they?
Well, I mean, no, they can't.
Oh, come on. You can figure it out. It's science fiction.
I don't know, but I mean...
It's called movie magic. They can bring back dead characters.
Sure. We can make it work.
He canceled the apocalypse, right?
Yeah.
He did.
Even if we just bring him back in voice form, come on, we can do it.
Or as a ghost or in flashbacks. Bring it, man.
Absolutely. Come on. We can do it. We'll figure it out. Just sign him. Then there's another sequel in Ryan. Inevitably, I guess we were going to get one. A sequel to Horrible Bosses.
Yes, sir, we are. The whole gang is back with new additions of Chris Pine and Christoph Waltz. Horrible Bosses 2 is going to hit theaters everywhere on November the 26th, and I cannot wait because I am in the minority, if not majority, that loved the first one.
I loved it, too.
I have to admit, I haven't seen it.
You got to see it. You got to see it.
Got to see it.
Good.
Jamie Foxx, man. Watch out for Jamie Foxx's character.
All right. Forget that. Watch for Jennifer Aniston in that.
Well, that was a
Jennifer Aniston is worth the price of admission for that.
Okay.
Remember, Steve, you watched We Are the Millers?
I did.
It's more of We're the Millers. So if you like Jennifer Aniston and We're the Millers, you'll like Jennifer Aniston and Horrible Bosses.
She was creepy good. I'll give her credit for that one.
When does Horrible Bosses 2 come out?
November the 26th. You got plenty of time, Steve.
This year.
Oh, yeah, it's this year. Oh, yeah.
I didn't hear anything except Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much all you needed to. Well, let's just keep going with the sequels here. This one to a film that happens to be 21 years old. And Ryan, we're going to you first, but apparently there's a little bit of an addition that Jacob has found out. First of all, what's the scoop on a possible Hocus Pocus second film?
Yes, sir. Disney's moving ahead with the Hocus Pocus 2, and they're saying that comedy queen herself, Tina Fey, is going to help to produce the film. It's now going to be focused on, it was played campily by, Sarah Jessica Parker, Kathryn Jiminy, and Bette Midler from back in the day. They're saying it's about a housewife related to one of the Sanderson sisters teams up with a witch hunter to save her own children after they run afoul of some resurrected witches while out trick-or-treating. So it's kind of like a little bit more of the same, little new things thrown into the mix, but Hocus Pocus 2, I don't think it's necessary.
Dustin, you're looking at me and going, what? What's this face?
I'm actually excited to hear about this one because I loved the first one.
Yeah?
I was kind of curious if they were ever going to do something different. I didn't see them going that route, but with the way that he just said it, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see some type of other twist that they put into it. That'd be pretty cool.
Well, it could be a twist to the entire story. Jacob, you found something this morning. What's the deal?
Yeah, according to Total Film, they got news from Tina Fey that she is working on a supernatural comedy that involves witches, but it is not Hocus Pocus. The Hocus Pocus franchise is not involved at all. It will be a Disney film, but Hocus Pocus is not part of it. She says it's going to have more a similar tone to Ghostbusters. So, and Tina Fey is going to star in this. So, according to Total Film, as of right now, there isn't anything happening on a Hocus Pocus sequel at Disney.
All right.
Disney, make up your minds already.
I now retract my previous statement.
I was about to say, now that we burst your bubble,
completely
Dustin.
destroyed. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Hey, that's what we're doing here.
We
want to make sure that you're armed with the proper information.
Yeah, it's just the fact that those three together in that first movie, they just played off each other so well, and they made it so believable. That's why it was just one of those movies, you got to watch it on Halloween. That's why as soon as I heard that, I'm like, man, that'd be cool. And then Jacob comes along and just pops my bubble.
Yeah, well.
That's what I do.
Jacob.
Dream Crusher.
Thanks, man.
That's what we do here. We give you all the information, whether you like it or not.
I'm busting chops today. That's my thing.
There it is. Ryan, since we got a sequel theme rolling here, let's continue it and go to a movie from 2007, which we're apparently going to get a sequel to, Enchanted 2.
Yeah, according to Disney, a sequel is going to be moving ahead. Deadline's reporting the studio signed J. David Stem as well as David N. Weiss, who wrote the scripts for The Smurfs, the live-action CGI animation film, and Shrek 2, to provide the screenplay, but no word yet on who exactly is going to be directing and what if the stars of the original film are going to come back, but I pray not because this is another terrible sequel idea.
All right, here's my question automatically. Amy Adams, too big to reprise the role, or would she be willing to go back?
Too big.
Jacob?
I think she would. I don't know. She seems to be the type of person that would take silly roles, even on top of when she's still doing like very serious stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So,
right.
I think she would.
Okay.
And I was actually one of the few Disney like live action things that I didn't hate. It wasn't terrible.
My wife loved it. I was, But then again, I'm not the target audience.
Right, yeah. Not the target audience. But, I mean, because I think I was dating somebody at the time who wanted to watch it. And, I wasn't miserable watching it. So, I mean, I'm not upset that they're making a second one.
Okay. As far as being the target audience, another sequel, and Jacob for this one, and Ryan, you're going to be happy because we're getting word out about a change in the date for the 7th installment of Fast and Furious.
Yeah, they are moving it up 1 week. So now it will open on April 3rd, which is Easter weekend, instead of April 10th of 2015.
They given a reason why they're moving it up?
Not that I know of. It's now going to go, I don't know what it was going up against before, but now it's going up against Fox's The Longest Ride, and it will give them 2 weeks of distance in between Paul Blart Mall Cop 2, which comes out on the 17th. So
yeah, because I really think Fast and Furious was worried about Paul Blart Mall Cop 2.
Well, according to Latino Review, they think that they should be worried about Paul Blart Mall Cop 2. So
I think it'll make money because the first one certainly, for lack of a better term, was a surprise hit. But I don't know as they've really got a whole lot to worry about. I don't see the two audiences crossing over that much.
No, and I mean, let's face it, Fast and the Furious has made tons of money in every sequel it's made.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan. You probably know this better than anybody else. Hasn't this movie almost made more money each successive sequel?
Yeah, I mean, it's made more and more money as we've gone through the course of time, with 4 making a lot of money, then 5 made even more, 6 made a bajillion bucks here. So really, any kind of film you put in front of it, as far as competition goes, Fast and Furious is going to burn a lot of rubber and make the competition eat their dust. I mean, Paul Blart 2, give me a break.
Yeah, well,
yeah, I don't see that as being a big competition.
I don't really either, and I think that there's also it's going to get a slight uptick anyway in their box office, just because of the fact that this will be the last time Paul Walker will be able to be in this particular role. He had done some scenes for it and then died while filming was still going on. I think there are going to be people that are going to want to see it because of this being kind of his signature role, number one, and the last time that he will obviously be in any of them, Dustin.
My money is going to Paul Blart, too.
Are you kidding me?
I have not liked the Fast and the Furious after the first one.
You may not have liked him, but man, common sense. Come on, man.
I'm going to see Paul Blart. Yeah. Paul Blart's my hero, man.
I don't have a problem with you going to see it, but you honestly believe that Paul Blart's going to make more money than Fast and Furious?
No, it won't happen, but my money's going there.
But,
your money's lost already. I can tell you that right now.
As for the reasoning, one other thing that I think might be a big draw is for them to move it up a week is that April 3rd is Easter weekend, and so it becomes the holiday weekend movie. And holiday weekend movies tend to do better.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. That may be right, too.
So.
All right. And then we got, strangely enough, the only superhero story of this week, and it goes to Jacob. Yeah, really. We actually have 2 stories in one. It surrounds the movie Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice, so we'll take him one at a time. We know a little bit more about the villains. What did you find out, Jacob?
Well, these are some rumors that have popped up of people who may be, or characters who may pop up as villains. The first is Victor Zsasz. And he is a lesser-known Batman villain. He is a serial killer who uses a knife to kill people, and when he kills somebody, he takes the knife and cuts a tally mark on him. So he's covered in like tally mark scars all over his body.
In other words, he cuts himself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
Yeah. So basically, for every time he's killed someone, he's a little tally mark on his body. The next one we see is Morgan Edge, which is who's basically Lex Luthor's PR guy.
Oh, okay.
And actually, Latino Review, which is who is bringing us these reviews, thinks that Scoot McNairy is probably going to play this character.
Oh, yeah, we talked about him last week.
Right, closer to age than, because people were saying that Scoot McNairy might be playing Dick Grayson, Nightwing, but because of the age, maybe this character. But the next one is David Kane, which all I really know about him is he's one of Luthor's bodyguards, and he is one of the world's most deadliest assassins. So don't know much about that character, but that could be. And then one of the big names to me of all of these is Amanda Waller, the leader of Cadmus, who is against is leader of the Office of Metahuman Affairs in some iterations,
that could
is
be fun.
Rumored to be in here.
That could be actually quite fun. And then seeing apparently not the same Henry Cavill that we saw when he came out with the first Superman last year, not going to quite be the same.
No, we've The Verge posted a picture of, and it's on several other sites too, but of the first picture of Henry Cavill as in Batman v Superman, and the Superman suit's very similar, not much changed there, but he, as far as his facial expression, a lot different. This looks like a pissed off at the world Superman, and someone who is not happy with whatever he is looking at.
Well, this is something that you and I have talked about, and it's been talked about many, many times, in the fact that despite especially the Justice League I grew up with, where Superman and Batman were good friends, most people would come to the conclusion that Superman and Batman would not be friends in the characters that we know them as. To put them together as a team, one would think you got to figure out some way, shape, or form to have Batman like Superman in some way.
Right, and I think that the kind of the picture is, because it looks like he is in Gotham, because it's very dark. There's lots of smog and smoke, and so it looks like he is in Gotham, and it looks like he is not happy with what he sees in Gotham. That's my take on it, and that's just me. But it is a much darker version of the Man of Steel than what we're used to seeing.
And just for those of you who are going, well, wait a minute, I know about this film. When is it coming out again? When is it coming out again?
I don't remember. I don't have it right in front of me.
I do.
Ryan, go for it.
2016.
Oh, well, yeah, it is in 2016, but let's keep in mind here, this is supposed to hit theaters everywhere, I believe, on May the 6th in 2016, and Captain America 3 is supposed to hit the exact same time. Sooner or later, someone's going to jump the shark and move to a different date. And Batman v Superman, my boys, if you're smart, you're going to move that date, because Captain America 3 is on a major, major high right now after Winter Soldier.
Marvel's doing it right. If somebody's going to move, I think it's going to be Batman versus Superman.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think as good as I think that DC is doing with those films, they don't have a chance against the Marvel film right now.
I agree. All right.
That may change. That may change. By 2016.
As we start to see some early trailers, yeah, you might be right. All right, that brings us to our second and final break of the day. When we come back, we'll talk about what's coming out on Blu-ray next Tuesday, get into a television show review, our television news, and our latest rundown of what's going on in the Summer Movie League. Standings are changing and changing quickly. We'll detail it all next.
They do all their own stunts. The Entertainment Roundtable on Superstation 101.
I chose this not because we just got done talking about Batman versus Superman the movie. I got this because we're actually talking about the upcoming series Gotham, which will actually really kind of deal more with Commissioner Gordon, but a very young Bruce Wayne, and because of the fact that I have yet to figure out what the theme music for Gotham is going to be, so I just went back and played this. Welcome back into the show. I'm Steve West, Jacob and Ryan with me. Jeff is on vacation. Josh and David are working hard, which means we got Dustin on the board, filling in very capably. Thank you, sir.
That's no problem. I'm learning.
You're learning?
Yes, I'm learning.
What, that you don't want to go see what was supposed to be Hocus Pocus 2 and now is not?
Yeah, pretty much.
Like that? Okay, gotcha.
No, that's the cool thing about this is you get to hear what you guys actually think about it and then judge what you want to spend your movie money on.
There you go. Several movies coming out on DVD, Blu-ray next Tuesday, but no TV series of note this week. Among the theatrical releases you could choose from, The Raid 2. If you remember The Time Machine from, I guess, now what, 30, 35 some odd years ago or so, it finally gets its debut on Blu-ray. Something called Nymphomaniac Volumes 1 and 2, which just sounds really weird.
It's a family film.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
And then you get these two films, Bad Words and the unrelated Bad Grandpa. This is, though, not the Bad Grandpa that Johnny Knoxville came out with in theaters not that long ago. This is Bad Grandpa 0.5, which the producers and the directors and the people that are releasing the DVD promise is an all-new film. So apparently they filmed so much stuff, they kind of like they did with Anchorman 2, put out a film with basic same premise, but all new gags.
I am interested in Bad Words. I wanted to see this in theaters.
Tell me about the film.
It was limited release, but it's a Jason Bateman film about a guy who drops out of school early, like he dropped out of school in the 6th grade or something like that. And he exploits a loophole in spelling bee rules.
That's right.
Where they say, the rule is that you have to, you can't be over 6th grade education. You can't have past the 6th grade.
Yeah.
So he's like a 35-year-old man in a spelling bee. And
Yeah. Okay. I remember. That actually probably is the one, that and Time Machine, because I really did enjoy that film. So that's otherwise not really all that interesting to me. When it comes out on TV, we're kind of in that dead period here, but there are a few original shows. Under the Dome has debuted, for example. You've got 24, which is going on for a few more episodes, and then TNT comes out with a show called The Last Ship. And Ryan, you and I have had the chance to check out the first couple of episodes of it. I'll start with you. What do you think?
I think it's actually really good. It's well-paced. It's a little bit of a different take on, viral outbreak, must-save world, who's going to do it. And you got a virologist working with, a Navy team on a ship, and they're kind of like one of the last ships in, all over the, in the world trying to save mankind. So I really like it. I mean, even though you got the name Michael Bay stamped on it, hey, at least Michael Bay EP'd and didn't direct the whole series. So he did a good job EP in the series. But, yeah, TNT's Last Ship, I'd probably give it 3.5 out of 4. I like it a lot.
3.5 out of 5?
Probably well, now that you think about it, maybe 4 out of 5.
4 out of 5. Okay, we'll go with that. Kind of go with you on that. When I first saw the previews for it, and as I was watching it, what was the Andre Braugher film with the submarine?
Oh, that was Last Resort.
Last Resort. Okay, I see some parallels between the two, but in as far as the plot is concerned, they have come up with kind of a novel idea. It's not brand new by any means. We got a virus spreading around the world, and these guys happen to be on a ship that was out at sea and is not affected by it. So now they're going to go and try and see if they can find a cure. That's the basic premise of it. And the way that they pulled it off so far in the first 2 episodes, I'm intrigued. My biggest problem with this has nothing to do with the show in and of itself. My biggest problem is the fact that it's on TNT, and TNT is in love with commercial breaks. I think
Yeah, that's true, but that's why we have DVRs.
I think we've gotten just about as many minutes of commercial time in the first 2 episodes as we have of actual show time. So that's my biggest complaint, is that it's on TNT. Otherwise, I enjoy it. You mentioned it. It's why we have DVRs, and trust me, I have used it quite well. I happened to be in a hotel when it debuted. My wife and I were up in North Carolina. We were trying to deal with my grandmother's estate, something that's totally off the subject. So we didn't have access to the DVR, and we'd forgotten to set the DVR for The Last Ship, so we just decided, well, we're going to watch it. Yeah, my wife's like, I am so frustrated with this, I'm going to sleep. And it wasn't because, she actually said she likes the show, but she could not stand it anymore watching TNT as they aired it.
Doesn't matter what's on TNT. That's pretty much what everybody boils down to, is the fact that they just hate it because too many commercials.
Oh, and well, you and I, we're about to go from this to recording Fastest Hour on radio. One of the biggest complaints that we've got about TNT and their coverage of NASCAR. Same exact
too
link.
many commercials.
Hey. So there you go. If that's your biggest complaint, put it on the DVR. You'll like it. I'm not necessarily going to say it's a 4. I'm going to go with what you started with, Ryan. I'm going to go with the 3.5. It's better than average, but you're going to have a little bit of patience because you're going to be fast forwarding a lot. So there you go. Starting over at the Fox Network with some news, our listener, sometime contributor Daniel, reports the network has axed a show before it ever even got a chance to air. Fox had given a straight-to-series order for a show entitled Hieroglyph. It's a drama set in ancient Egypt, but the network then saw the first episode, and due to creative differences and a very high per-episode budget, the series got axed. It will not go on. I don't know whether they will even ever put the first episode out for anybody to see.
That's a shame.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. Staying with Fox, and Ryan, you've seen a video with some of the cast members, some of the crew of the upcoming fall show Gotham. Have they revealed anything?
Other than, that you're going to see a lot of these infamous villains before they become the villains. And one thing I thought was kind of interesting is that the Penguin character, Oswald Cobblepot, is kind of going to be working with Detective Jim Gordon and trying to bring down some of these criminal organizations and things of that nature. But either way, I cannot wait, man. DC's TV universe is just expanding and ever growing. You got Flash on CW, now you got Gotham. I say bring it. I can't wait to see all of them.
There's a good opportunity for a backstory on that then, is what I'm seeing. We're going to find out where he turns and becomes the Penguin, which I'm all for it. I kind of like it. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I can't wait either.
Yeah. All right. Over to ABC, and they are continuing, Ryan, with Once Upon a Time, the fairy tale brought to life aspect of the show. Kind of a neat thing. They're taking Disney's most recent fairy tale, bringing it to life. Kind of, sort of, right?
Yes, they are. The most overrated rated animated film of all time known as Frozen is coming to ABC's Once Upon a Time. You got a newcomer actress by the name of Elizabeth Leo, who's going to take on the role of Anna, Queen Elsa of Arendelle's younger sister, while ABC Family's Greek alum Scott Michael Foster, also from ABC's The River, has landed the recurring role of Anna's beau, Kristoff.
And they'll be in later in the season or pretty much right from the get-go, have we found out?
Not sure when their first appearance is going to be, but I'm assuming it's going to be in the first 3, 4, 5 episodes, maybe.
All right. CBS and Jacob, to you, they got a long-running show entitled Criminal Minds, but they're going to try and infuse some new blood. Who's coming in and for what?
Well, first of all, I didn't even know that this show still was on air.
Well, that says something, I think.
A long time ago. But anyways, they're bringing on Jennifer Love Hewitt, formerly of Ghost Whisperer, Party of Five, a bunch of other stuff. And she's going to play a seasoned undercover agent, Katie Callahan.
For Dustin's edification, does it say when the show will air? What night?
It premieres Wednesday, October 1st. So I'm assuming Wednesdays.
There you go.
I may have a reason to tune into this show now.
He's marking his calendar right now. You should have seen his face when you mentioned the name Jennifer Love Hewitt.
I love the show, and her on there is going to be awesome.
Oh,
it's going to be more eye-candy.
So you did like the show beforehand?
I loved the show.
Okay, very good.
I still watch it.
There
really,
you go.
Dustin? I didn't know you watched TV shows other than NASCAR.
There's a few out there that I'll actually partake in a little bit of time.
Nice. Over to the CW network, their big hit Arrow, and they've got a cast member or two. Ryan, we'll start with you. The new cast member, female side. Where have we seen her before? What's she going to be doing on Arrow?
Yes, sir. Devin Aoki, who was previously in Too Fast, Too Furious, as well as the first Sin City installment from Robert Rodriguez. She's going to take on the role of Tatsu Yamashiro, a.k.a. Katana, for the upcoming season of Arrow. She's a skilled martial artist, gets her name from the deadly sword that she wields, which contains the souls of every single person she has killed, including her late husband. So this is going to play into Oliver's flashbacks to his time on the island and potentially working with other organizations that are off the island, if you haven't seen the season finale of Season 2 yet. So that ought to be interesting. Come this fall. Arrow is going to come back Wednesday nights, 8, 7 Central. I cannot wait.
And Jacob, you found out that there was another cast member coming on.
Well, yeah, the aforementioned husband has also been cast. Carl Yune, I'm assuming. Hopefully I haven't mispronounced that. Will play Katana's husband. He'll be introduced as in the flashback scenes as the person who is basically teaching Oliver how to be a superhero.
As soon as you said that, I was immediately thinking, wow, he's going to be introduced and then fairly quickly dismissed.
As soon as I heard the first character, all I thought of was Adrian Paul from Highlander, the souls and the sword and all that.
Yeah, could be true. Jacob, over to AMC. More information about the upcoming show Better Call Saul. We have been thinking it was going to be a prequel to Breaking Bad. You're hearing differently?
Yeah, it looks like they are actually going to do the show is going to take place before, during, and after the events of Breaking Bad. So we have chances of cameos from older characters. We get to see things that happened post, post events of Breaking Bad. So it's going to be kind of interesting. Now they say they're not going to be guest. Excuse me, they're not going to be guest appearance heavy, but there's definitely some chances.
Nice. So we might get to see Bryan Cranston from time to time.
It's a possibility.
That'd be nice. Jacob, we'll stay with you and over to FX. They're continuing a relationship with Dennis Leary. There's another new original series that they're working up with him. What's the kind of the backstory real quick?
Trying to look for trying to pull up the article. They have picked up his show, Sex, Drugs, Rock and Roll. In that show, he's going to play Johnny Rock, where this basic premise is he is the lead singer of a legendary early 90s band called the Heathens, and he's trying to get both the band and his life back together.
Gotcha. Sister network FXX landed one of the voices from How to Train Your Dragon 2 for a future project. What do you know there, Jacob?
Yes, and again, I am behind on getting, I'm trying to pull this story up. Jay Baruchel, the voice of the main character in How to Train Your Dragon, is going to play in a show called Man-Seeking Woman. It's produced by Lorne Michaels. And it's based on the book by Simon Rich called The Last Girlfriend on Earth. basically at the beginning of the show, Jay Baruchel's character, Josh Greenberg, gets dumped, and he goes on a series of dates, which are horrible, and but he keeps pushing on in hopes of finding the right person for him. So that's coming to FXX.
All right. We're going to save the rest of the stories until next week because we got to get to the latest update when it comes to the our summer movie draft league. And you're right. I have moved from where I debuted at the beginning, and of course Captain America did it because it was the first one of the films that were in the entire draft. So I've now moved down to third. Jeff has jumped up to the top spot. He's got 4 films that have all been released, and they're all over $100 million. He sits at the top, $504.7 million. Josh, not too far behind, $500 million, and then I'm in third, $369 million. Then you've got Ryan in fourth, $264. Jacob, you're in there. I'm sorry, you're in fourth, $341 million. Ryan, fourth at $264, and David, $242 million. I'm just looking at Jeff's lineup and going, good grief, and he's still got Lucy to go.
Yeah.
That's killing me. Coming up here pretty soon is going to be probably the next one is going to be Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Gosh, I need something that's going to help me considering draft day is killing me. Ryan, we can find you online. Where?
That's at Facebook at Ryan Matthews, also on Twitter at RyanRPM5. Let's talk movies.
Have a happy 4th of July weekend, my friend.
You do the same. Thanks for having me on the show, and happy 4th of July weekend, guys.
Thank you very much. Jacob, you too. Hope you have a safe and a happy one, sir, and appreciate you being on the show.
Anytime.